Well, 2020 has been a really difficult and very challenging year for everyone. So from all of us here at Papa Geoff's America, thank you for allowing us into your lives and for being part of our family. Happy New Year and cheers to a great 2021. You do know that disagree doesn't mean dislike, right? No, really. It's OG time in Houston, Texas, around the country and around the world. Welcome to the Papa Geoff's America program. We're continuing the conversation one podcast at a time. We're so much more than politics. Conversation about mindfulness, positivity, health and wellness, stuff and things about taking care of each other. Things you want to talk about with commentary, insightful guests, and what would a day be without Papa Geoff's classic old guy humor, right? So, with one sort of kind of good eye, a very, some would say, unique sense of humor, and definitely a face for radio. Here's Mr. Here We Go himself, the G-Man, PG, the OG, Papa Geoff. Hey everybody, I'm Papa Geoff, and welcome to the Papa Geoff's America program. We're continuing the conversation one podcast at a time. Now, Monty Python used to say, and now for something completely different. Well, this broadcast is going to be exactly that, something completely different from all the others. Now, we all know that 2020 has just sucked. I just don't have any other way to put it, right? And I know everyone's hurting in one way or another, but the story you're going to hear today is personal for me because it's people that are friends of my wife and I. Yep, it's personal, and we want to do what we can. We want to use our platform, the Papa Geoff's America podcast, to get their word out. Now, we love and appreciate our audience, and maybe you'll be able to help out Gabe and Lenora directly, or maybe you know someone who can. I like to say that I know people that know people. Gabe Traverso and I sat down virtually on Wednesday, December 30th, and I'm going to tell you, this is by far the most emotional conversation I've ever had on the air. So just a little heads up, the language gets a bit frank, but it's just real. Anyway, Gabe and his wife, Lenora, live in Reno, Nevada, and are two truly inspirational people. It's a real-life story of hurt and hope. She literally saved his life, and now he's doing everything he can to save hers. It's all part of our new updated format of positive interviews, insightful discussions, and relevant real-life information that helps us all because we're all in this together. This is the Papa Geoff's America program, continuing the conversation one podcast at a time. It's 58 degrees and mostly cloudy. It was rainy this morning at the OG Radio Studios in H-Town, Space City, Houston, Texas, the city with no limits. This is the Papa Geoff's America program on the OG Radio Network. Gabe and Lenora's story next. Papa Geoff's America, so much more than politics. New episodes every Monday. Check it out and subscribe at papajeffusa.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Papa Geoff's America, continuing the conversation, one podcast at a time. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for coming back to Papa Geoff's America program. We knew you were going to come back because you always do, but thanks for doing that. We're glad you're with us today. And today is going to be a little bit different in our change of format to more human interest, more positivity, more mindfulness, more health and wellness, and more we're all in this together. And because we are. We are all in this together, especially during COVID times. And I know you're going to enjoy this conversation that we're going to have today. This is definitely word that needs to get out and get to folks that may have some thoughts, suggestions, or spoiler alert, we're going to ask you for your help at the end of this, because this is a good story. This is a heart-touching story for sure, and you're gonna enjoy it. You really are. Today we're going to share the story of Gabe and Lenora Traverso. It's a story that I wanted to bring you to get the word out. It's a story about hurt and hope. It's a story about help and healing as well. And it's a true example of we're all in this together. Gabe is with us today. And Gabe, thanks for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's awesome. Gabe has quite a resume of things. Both Gabe and Lenora are both very artistic people, where my level of artistic is what I'm doing right now is my voice, and able to put things together like this. But these guys are musicians and theater artists, and they have just got a whole lot of going on, and we're going to share that with you today, as well as some things that have changed in their life that we want to share with you. And as we wind up, we want to ask you for your help in this, of what's going on. So Gabe, tell us kind of in a nutshell version, take all the time you need, but tell us about you and Lenora.
Okay, that's really hard to do in a nutshell. Lenora and
It's a
I,
large nut.
it is a huge nut. It is surrounded by a very hard outer layer, and on the inside, it is still hard. And then there's kernels of soft. No, anyway. Lenora and I met online almost 16 years ago in May. And it was don't be stupid, go to cupid.com. Cupid.com, that was the one. So after about I don't know, we talked for hours on the site, then we switched to the phone. Anyway, she drove out here about a week later, and she thought it was going to be a visit. She packed her dog and had a box of china and a garden chair, and then stayed. And we have had an incredibly tumultuous relationship, and a lot of that has been because of me, because I have been, up until I was 35, 2009, I attempted suicide, and up until that point, I had been untreated for whatever is wrong with me, which apparently is still up for debate. But I am one of those mental patients. I'm one of those guys like in Catch-22, where I know I'm crazy, but I'm not insane, because I guess insane people don't know that they're insane.
There you go.
So up until that point, I was just the angriest person you'd probably ever meet. And since the suicide, I had to surrender to the fact that I have a disability, how it impacts my life, that it came from childhood abuse. So I've had to come a long way. Lenora saved my life that night, and that night we were broken up, and that was the first time that we had broken up, and that was in 2009. It was about 2007, 2009. So she saved my life then, and even though we were broken up, she stood by me. She spent the night on the floor of the hospital, and I decided to leave the anger behind, and it's taken me a long time to get there. Where it's 11 years, almost 12, where I finally feel like now I can say that I can control that demon, that I am Bruce Banner all the time by choice. So we got married shortly after that. That was in 2010, and things were still not great. And then we split up again in 2015. Got back together in 2017 because we just had this attraction that we couldn't deny it no matter what. And so we kept trying to make it work. And then last year in 2019, I felt like we'd reached that point again. I wanted to make it work, but it seemed like Lenora didn't want to, and so we called it off. So we went into this virus right the week before in March, where everything went on lockdown, which was also the anniversary of my suicide attempt, was when
Oh,
I
wow.
finally moved out of the house. And the week before that, I had to put my dog down, who was my service dog. It's been a shitty year. So, um, going into 2020, I hated Lenora. I was so angry
Mm.
because she was the last person who could actually make me angry, and I wanted it to go away. Anyway, so my point being that we went into this emergency that Lenora is now in with that kind of vibe going on. The pandemic hits and we're on lockdown, and where I had moved into was enough room for our kids, who are now 18 and 19, to come over and hang out, but they couldn't spend the night with me. And normally the kids, and so the kids are, I have to back up for a minute because I want to say some positive things about Lenora that are really important to the story. They were 2 and 3 when she moved out of here. And okay, obviously you can tell I'm an emotional person. Okay,
That's
let me
okay.
try to take a moment here. They were 2 and 3 when she moved out, and she treated them like they were her kids.
Yeah.
From day one. And
That's so great.
it's true. You and I were talking about that a few moments ago before we got started.
Yeah.
And I had a stepfather who was the primary source of my child abuse. And so I knew what bad step parenting looked like. And that never happened with Lenora. And over the years, because the kids both have disabilities, of course. So you got me with the disability, and then you got both my kids. We knew they had something going on. Their learning was like 2 years behind every other kid. And I'm 6'4". They were huge. So the school would never set them back a year, because these kids were monstrous. And my son is now 6'6", and my daughter is 6'2". Our daughter, I should say. And so she was there for every school meeting. She was there to help with homework. She was there when I didn't have my shit together. And they view her as their second mom.
Yeah.
They've never said, "You're not my mom." Nothing. So going back to the virus, I was spending a lot of time over here at Lenora's house because the kids could still spend their time here. We had been going 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off with their biological mom for years and years and years. And so even though Lenora and I were still in a place where in the virus, I think it was like May, she was like, "Yeah, no, we're done. It's never going to work out." She's still family. So I was coming over here to hang out with the kids, have dinner. Sometimes I'd stay this night. Most of the times I'd go back to my house, which is up at a dog park. Anyway, and one night I come over and something's wrong with Lenora. And it was the craziest thing. And now Lenora had been not what, I mean, I've seen heavy drinkers. Lenora was a very solid, like functional drinker, where she was just drinking beer a lot. And I've seen her totally sloshed. Everybody has who drinks, anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that. And she had also been under an incredible amount of stress this whole year. She had started a job about a year and a half ago, this new job, where she was managing a local Reno facility relationship in terms of recruitment. So working for this company here, for a company that does personnel recruitment. And she was the solo person on site, working from home and going to this client's office. And then her company's back in North Carolina. So about 6 months after she starts working at this company, suddenly the client company is shutting down the contract and these other sites are going down. So for about the last year, Lenora's been living with the stress that she was going to lose her job because her company had lost this contract and was losing it across the country due to problems. They weren't managing the account. I've got a lot of very business experience, and I can tell you they screwed the pooch from the beginning. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, and I hope they're listening and hear that, because you got to think strategically, kids, and don't be a jerk. So anyway, um, she had all this stress, so I knew she was under stress. But I come over one night, and she can barely lift her eyelids open, like she is about to fall asleep, or more stoned than she's ever been in her life, and she doesn't get stoned. Her eyes were crossed. She couldn't walk. She was complaining about random headaches and pain in her legs and double vision, and would just fall down, and her memory was gone. She asked me where my dog was, who I told you I had to put down,
Yeah.
and it was crazy. So for years, Lenora has, even if we've been broken up, she's supported the kids. She's supported me seeing the kids. She's supported us. She's been the rock, dealing with shitty bosses one after the other, taking shit that I am just utterly not capable of taking without saying something about it. I lack the ability to not stand up to whatever's wrong in the room.
I know that
Um,
feeling. Yep.
it's pathological. So Lenora's been that rock, and then suddenly her memory's gone, and it was, and still to this day, she will say the same things 5 minutes to the next, or ask the same questions. What are we eating for dinner? All the way to, why did I lose my job again? And I have to remind her that she didn't lose her job. Um, we're in this holding pattern, and so I took her to the emergency room on Labor Day, and I thought she had had a stroke. They did a CT scan
Mm-hmm.
and gave her some Ativan, and then they sent us home saying she didn't have a stroke. It was just stress, and she should see her doctor. The soonest we could get into our GP was the end of September, because of the virus,
Mm-hmm.
and she took it very seriously. And we have a good history with, and she's actually a registered nurse, and nurses are amazing folks. If you have problems with doctors, please see a nurse. They're way better, and they'll be honest with you. Doctors are dicks most of the time, and I tell most doctors that too. Anyway. So
My first
she had
wife was
helped,
a nurse for almost 40 years, so I
right?
know exactly what you're saying. No, you're
Well,
right.
this nurse, I love her to death. She had helped us diagnose, our daughter has POTS, postular orthostatic tachycardia syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
which basically means she just starts passing out. And so now our daughter has to come to terms with the fact that she's got a disability. And the nurse was the only one who was willing to stick it out when all these other doctors were saying, oh, it's just syncope. And syncope is just the doctor word for fainting.
Yep.
And they're like, she'll grow out of it or whatever. And the nurse was the only one, and she and Lenora and I worked together like as a team doing research, and I suck at research, and together we all found like a piece of the puzzle that led to POTS. And she's the one who finally said, no, you guys got to see a neurologist and a psychiatrist. And that
Yeah.
was the end of September. And then for the next 2 months, that nurse's office faxed this referral to Renown Neurology
Mm-hmm.
to the wrong fax number. And so nothing happened for 2 months, while we waited for referral. And I kept calling Renown, and they're like, we haven't gotten it. And I called the doctors, and we sent it. And then I went into the doctor for my own appointment. And the gal at the doctor's office who does the referrals said to my face, I will call them, and then I'll call you back later today. I'll get it sorted. And she never called me back. And weeks later, I found out that they were sending it to the wrong fax number. I cleared it up. And then finally, we get the referral. We see the neurologist. And he's like, okay, now we need to do all these slew of tests,
Mm-hmm.
including an MRI and imaging and blood work and so on and so forth. But the positive out of that was that doctor actually, good guy. So that doctor is not a dick. His name is Kevin Chisna at Renown. And I liked him. And he said that he thinks it's treatable and that it could be reversible, and that he thought it was a vitamin absorption issue. Thiamine is what he said, which is
Okay.
basically one of the vitamin Bs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lenora's been taking a boatload of vitamin Bs since then. But I'll tell you, it hasn't gotten better. Her memory is still whack. Anyway, so the problem is because of that 2 months, all our support, everything, crumbled. And then by the time we could finally actually get things scheduled, all the money, and we'd gotten a lot of donations. We had an amazing amount of support from people in Reno, and
Mm-hmm.
like on our GoFundMe, I had former girlfriends from like 20 years ago or more donated. It's been incredible,
Mm-hmm.
but we're still fucked.
Yeah.
So um, we have, however, one of the shining moments here is we got turned on to a counseling office here, and because of the virus, they haven't been able to figure out the copay for Zoom therapy or the Zoom visits with the psychiatric nurse. Again, kids,
Oh,
don't go to a psychiatrist, go to a psychiatric nurse.
yeah.
They're better, and I know that from experience.
Yeah. Psychiatric nurse practitioners are
Right.
it's amazing. Yeah,
And
definitely.
this woman is a saint, and when I can get insurance, I need to see her. She's amazing. So we've been able to see a therapist and this psychiatric nurse without having to pay any copays. And
Awesome.
so Lenora got some new meds. She'd been taking an antidepressant before, and that got replaced with this new med called Effexor,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the many things doctors had thrown at me, and it made me just climb the walls. But it's been doing great for her. And then she's also taken something that our GP had prescribed back in September that helps her sleep, because up until that point she hadn't been sleeping. Also, right when this started, late August, early September, she couldn't keep anything down. She was throwing everything up, and she had
Mm.
stopped drinking at that point, almost cold turkey, like down from like 12 drinks a day to like one beer mostly.
That can be
Anyway,
dangerous in itself.
and that was one of the things the doctors talked about. And so like all these different things happened. And meanwhile, because of that 2 month delay in the referral, her employer has been steadily giving us deadline after deadline that we can't meet in terms of getting FMLA paperwork
Yeah.
and short-term disability paperwork filled out, because that has to be done by the doctor. And this neurologist was the first doctor who could do that, because your general practitioner can't do it. It has to go to specialist and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So the company like threatened termination in October, and um, she has to pay. When you're on FMLA, you have to pay your benefits.
Yeah.
So our benefits, we've been able to pay those up through December, and December's benefits were paid because they made some kind of mistake or whatever. But they're talking termination, and then Christmas comes around, and Lenora gets an email that everybody in the company got about how to get your Christmas dinner. And if you're a remote employee, you get a Christmas Venmo so you can go buy Christmas dinner. And so we didn't have money for Christmas dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent an email I've been talking to the one of the co-owners of this company in trying to help Lenora, because Lenora can't handle any business. Like
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't handle right now like a basic retail job. Her memory is so out of whack. And so I've been I've been helping out. It's been all email because the woman wouldn't call me back. And um, so I've asked her for a recent deadline. The doctor had responded to the email about filling out the paperwork, but there's been no word since the first week of December. Second week of December, our landlords, insisting that they don't want to evict us, told us that we should move into their other property, which is like basically a glorified studio apartment, which means we
Mm-hmm.
can't have our kids.
Right.
And these are people that we thought were close friends. We witnessed their city hall wedding, and she was maid of honor at our wedding. And that was heartbreaking for Laura. So basically, the entire month, these entire holidays, she's been in the deepest depression you can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot going
Yeah.
on top of the lot going on.
Well, and
Yeah.
so going back to her and I and our relationship, this happened late August, and I was worried. And so I started spending the night. It was like, okay, I got to keep an eye on you, because she couldn't walk, right? And she wasn't eating, and I had to
Mm-hmm.
start like feeding her and stuff. And so pretty quickly I was like, okay, I have to basically be with her 24/7. And so I'm still looking for someone to take over my lease because right now, up until the end of December, tomorrow, my rent has been covered through the Reno Housing Authority's COVID assistance. But the fuck faces in Washington, of course, we all know, don't want that to go on. So I need to find someone to fill that lease. I'm back here. So Lenora, as part of this like memory wipe, it seemed to have affected all of her memories for like the past 6 to 9 months. And her short-term day-to-day little things type memories. And she lost all memory of wanting to be divorced. All this anger that she had been holding because of the anger that I had been forcing her to live with in our early part of the relationship, that we had not been able to resolve. I'd, go to counseling, I couldn't get her to do that and so on and so forth. And it was all wiped away. It was gone. And for me, that it's really good to talk about this because I haven't talked about it to anybody.
Absolutely. Yep.
Excuse me. So that fucked me up, I'll tell you, because I was still angry. And she had saved my fucking life.
Yeah. And now you're doing the same thing.
Right.
She was there for you and you're there for her. And that's what we do.
I had to move. I moved into this still with anger, still with suspicion and fear. So anyway, the blessing for us has been that whether you want to call it the universe or shit luck, karma, her lesson to live, whatever, aliens, I prefer aliens, wiped her memory, because that makes me chuckle, that I would have missed it, since I've been praying for aliens to come abduct me for pretty much my whole life. It wiped her mind of that, and now we're back to being a team.
There you go. That's great. That's great. Still a lot of stuff going on, but
fuck, I can't even tell you, man.
No.
And so meanwhile, my mom has terminal cancer. And I can't see her.
Yeah.
And so, anybody who knows me, excuse me, or I should say knew me from my childhood up until even 5 years ago, my anger defined me. And I have, like I said, this thing took, I was also in a deep depression when this happened with Lenora. I would come over to Lenora's house to see the kids, and I'd go back to my house and I would try to garden, which kind of fell apart in the summer. And then I would get in bed and I'd read, and I read, I don't know how many, 50 books this year, at least. And this took me out of that. And I've started to write again. I still haven't started to play music again. But I'm working at it because right now, all we have is time. Lenora's so depressed right now. She's like awake for like 6 hours maybe. And it's not easy to write when you're depressed, but that's what I got. And I don't know if you wanted to talk. It seems like I've been talking a lot.
This is why we're doing this. This is why I wanted our audience to hear this. You and Lenora worked with or at the same place with my wife Monica for years and years and years, and you guys actually
and your wife probably heard crazy stories about me too.
And you've probably heard some.
I'm not kidding, man. I was so angry in a meeting, I stapled my hand in front of everybody in this conference room over the bullshit Intuit was feeding it. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that probably.
I
You can bleep
actually,
that.
yeah, we don't want to say who, but it rhymes with Intuit.
Yeah.
Um,
I stapled my hand. So anyway, that was
she
one of the
told me that
many.
story. I actually
There
heard
you
that
go.
story last night, and I said, "He what?"
Yeah. So
And yeah, no,
I was a
it's
very angry, crazy
and
man up until very recently.
passionate. That
Yes.
you how I took that particular story was that you were passionate and you weren't going to let anything bad come to the people, your people. You weren't going to let that happen. And that's how you vented that anger. And that's,
Poor choice.
well,
Poor choice, but
you
that's
always got a
exactly right.
50-50 chance of being wrong. And it's
Yeah.
kind of how I look at it. And,
Ugh,
I've been through stages probably like everybody else, that if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all, that kind of thing. And
yeah.
but you are such a creative person, and Lenora as well, that this just would tell me, and I'm not a counselor. I don't have a I don't have a PhD. I was a paramedic for a long time, and so I dealt with a lot of people over the years in the Reno area. I really enjoyed that type of medicine because I had contact with the patient for maybe 30 minutes or maybe an hour or maybe more. And then they were handed off to specialized care. And I may never see that person again, but I wanted and I strive to do my part.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here. When Monica told me yesterday, this is what's going on. And I said, all right, what can we do? And when the GoFundMe first came out, she had told me what was going on, and she said we need to get into this. And I said, okay, so do whatever we're going to do. That's fine, just take care of it. And because of my vision problems, she handles all the money, which is great, because I did that for so many years that it's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And so we were in on that. I don't want to say from the ground floor, but we're definitely behind you guys. And we're not in a great financial position at the moment. However, we do have the podcast platform with a modest size audience. I love our audience. They are worldwide, and I felt the need, along with Monica, to get this word out and to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on with our friends. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, specifically COVID, but not everything is COVID. People have everyday problems that are going on. And this is a strange one, and I like to tell people that, I wanted to do radio for a lot of years growing up, and I never did. And now that I have the disability that I have, this is my dream come true of being able to do this. So am able to use the podcast for that and get it out to the platform that I share. Joe Rogan and Howard Stern have no threat from me. I'm not doing that, but I do like to look at things like what would Chris Cuomo do, or what would Don Lemon do, or what would Rachel Maddow do, or these guys that well, they're all on the left. I don't look at it that way. I look at that, what would they use their platform for, to
Yeah.
perhaps assist people. And that's people have helped me throughout the years, and in spite of me being me, I'm still here, and probably shouldn't be for a lot of the dumb things that I've been through over the years. But this whole idea is to get this word out there that you guys need help. You guys need, whether it's everything ranging from positive thoughts to whatever it is. We're going to ask you in just a couple of minutes, what is it that you need. But you both have purpose and such a theatrical background, which we didn't get a chance to talk about today. But I do want you and possibly both of you guys to be able to come back on. I want to talk about your upcoming novel and your upcoming play, and the stuff that you guys have done in the art world in Reno. And be able to we just want to share your story, because that's what Chris Cuomo would do. And that's that's
Thank
that's
you.
what that's what we wanted to do. And so what with everything that's going on, what is it that our folks can do to help you? What is it that you guys need? I know you guys have the GoFundMe out there, and we're going to talk about that. But what is it that our audience can do to help you guys?
Well, I'm gonna bring up something that seems unrelated, but I think the number one thing that I would like people who hear this to do is that I think we need to start calling for a national referendum, a popular vote on certain issues like universal healthcare.
Yeah.
Because I cannot fathom that if you got everybody in a room, sample size, I don't care. I don't care where you are in the country. I cannot fathom the idea that the majority of people around the world don't believe that we're failing in taking care of ourselves. And even the healthy are not getting, I mean, I have two teeth that are rotting out of my head, and otherwise my body is okay. My brain, not so much. And the way the homeless are being, I think that needs to happen. We've had a lot of traction and positivity. We've lost a lot of battles in terms of human rights lately. But that's my number one request.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think with the new administration that's coming in, although some person in the old administration doesn't believe that they're going anywhere, but they are. And the new administration is coming in, and they see what's happening, and Congress is just going to have to get with it. And there are a lot of people in Congress that believe that we need to work together. I am on the side of that. Healthcare is a human right. It's not a
I
privilege.
agree. I
It's a
agree.
privilege that you can have your own life. No, it
If I thought that the voters would have someone who I mean, I've been a Democrat, I've been a Republican, I'm now nonpartisan. I tried to enlist in the military, but I'm mental, and so that didn't work out. I've done copious amounts of hallucinogens in my younger years, and I live with a mental health disability, but I'm angry. And if I thought people would vote for someone like that, and I would run because we're not doing it right. And I think the
no,
most dangerous phrase in all human knowledge is, but this is the way we've always done it before.
right.
And I think that this crisis, this global crisis, makes it pretty clear that we need to start looking at some Buckminster Fuller, Gene Roddenberry solutions
Yeah,
and get our shit together.
I
So
I I
that's my
don't.
request.
Okay. Okay. So other than the
Yeah.
political and the
Yeah.
referendum, what
The
you have a
referendum.
you
We
have a
have a
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
What tell us about that? What's the address to that? We will put it in the show notes, and we will put it up on our
Man,
papajeffusa.com website. But what is the address to that, and how can folks donate to that? Any amount will definitely make a difference. How do they do that?
Um, and yes, any amount, even a dollar. One of the things that we've been doing, and you're asking me what the details are, and I don't know, so I have to log in, and it's asking me for a code,
It's
and I'm
okay
trying.
because I can get it from you off air, and it will
Uh,
be in the show notes where they can just click on that link and they can go to it, and it will also be on our papajeffusa.com website where they can just click
uh,
on it and they can help out, because I know we've got a number of folks in our audience that do have the resources
I think
and
I
they
think
have the
it's
want to do
please
that.
help Lenora. But I'm gonna have to raise the goal. We've raised $7,733, raised of $10,000 goal, which at this point, man, I can't even tell you how shitty things are right now. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to raise that. Any little bit helps. We've been at the very least, we're planning to do more in the way of thank you because we are artists and we do want to share what we've done. So everybody who has donated, we've sent a link to a Google Drive where they can download most of the music that I've recorded solo. And then also Lenora and I were in a band together when we first got together called Love's Proxy, and we kicked ass. And it was a rock band. She was the singer, and I played guitar, or tried to. I sucked. I still suck. But I wrote most of the songs, and we had a really good time. So we've been sending, so people can download that, and Lenora just, and they're not even great recordings. There's one studio track, and the rest were from a rehearsal in our living room. Anyway, so anything would help. We can't even get the MRI done right now. The out of pocket is like $236, and I don't. I think the power's on for another 3 days, and
Mm-hmm.
um, Lenora can't be on this because she would just be
Yeah.
crying the entire time.
Yeah.
Um, I would very much love to come back myself, but also when Lenora's better because she's fucking hilarious and
Yeah.
she's so smart, and this has hit her to her core. She feels like has done something wrong. She can't understand why her company is treating her as though she's done something wrong. She feels like she's let the family. She
Right.
feels like she's let us down, and she hasn't.
No.
And I'm fucked up. I can't hold a job. My last job, I lost my job in March 2019 after I filed a sexual harassment claim against a employee who kept coming on to me, and he said he was just joking and blah blah blah, and I was upset, and I didn't. I've learned to control my anger. So I was, maybe I was raising my voice, right? And I told them I'm upset, and they fired me because they said I made a threat. And I'm still trying to get justice for that. But of course, the virus slows everything down. And then in April, I tried or I was working in February for the registrar of voters
Mm-hmm.
here in Washoe County. I was actually really excited to see the political process and everything with this crazy ass election. And I got fired for complaining that people weren't wearing their masks because I was having panic attacks at my desk. And so I said, hey, it's really slow because in April it was dead and we were doing busy work. I said, could I just not work, not get paid? And then when it's busy, I come back.
Yeah.
And they said, yes. And then a few days later, they fired me by text message. And because I'm a temp employee, of course, they can get away with whatever they want. And it gets even better because my lucky, I played some blues, and maybe I should start writing some more blues songs. But it was my ex-wife who thought she was doing me a favor or something. And then she fires me because I'm complaining about masks and people and this health issue and the fact that, and I told her then that as many people now would be dead because of that. And it's been a really shitty year. So,
Sure, a
folks,
lot of
any help you can give
people.
us.
Sure, a lot of people dead from this hoax.
I know, and
Not uh, not to make it political, but
I can't understand.
I don't
You
get it.
know,
You
I
know.
don't get it. There should have been a plan in place. It could have been easy. You could have had PSAs recorded like for days.
Yeah.
It's so easy. You have one person who's in charge of everything related to aliens, man. And then that guy's job or that lady's job is boring as shit the entire time. But if aliens show up, suddenly that person is the expert, right? And there should have been the epidemiologist. And guess what? There was. But then because I guess politics, because that's the game, I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I hate it. Why can't we just live? I have all my life just wanted to run away to the woods. I tried to do it in 8th grade. I got caught. And people just suck. Why?
It's
Why?
I know there's better things coming for all of us. I ask the exact same questions that you do.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against any particular news network, although I have my preferences, but we the administration chose not to listen to one particular or the particular epidemiologists, the world-renowned experts, and chose to take the guy that the president liked off of Fox News, who that was not his specialty, and said, let's listen to this guy. And this
Yeah.
guy wanted to do herd immunity, as the president described as herd mentality.
Yeah.
No, no,
I just don't understand. The basics should be covered. And our
absolutely.
our our health from your toenails to your teeth, from your brain to your mind and soul, we should all be seeing therapists. We should all be getting regular dental checks, and we should not be choosing whether or not a car is going to get repossessed or whether or not your rotting tooth is going to get fixed.
Right.
That's not okay because Lenora's worked her ass off,
Yep.
and even though I've gotten fired a lot of times, and I've quit a lot of jobs, especially when I was younger out of anger. Every time I was at a job, I worked my fucking ass off, and
Yeah.
every one of those employers recognized my skills and my contribution, and probably didn't want me to be such a jerk, so they didn't have to fire me. But I've worked my ass off, and I don't deserve this.
No. I have
Nobody
always said
deserves this.
it's when they quit talking about you is when you got to worry. So as long as they're talking about you, as long as you're up there, and we are talking about you, and this broadcast is going to go out, and like I told you off air, we're planning this as a noon on New Year's Day breakout, so that they call it
Thank
dropping
you.
it in the podcast world.
All right.
And we're going to put this out, guys. Go to the GoFundMe page, whatever you can send.
Please help Lenora.
If you guys are in the Reno Sparks area, Washoe County, Carson City, if you're in the Nevada area,
I also think we need an employment lawyer too. So
if
we
you
have a
guys
friend
have
checking into that. But
suggestions, any whoever you guys may know or however you guys may help, you can get in contact with us through our website at papajeffusa.com. These people definitely need help. The hospital system that Gabe was talking about is the Renown Health System, RENOWN. That is the large system that came into Reno. It used to be the Washoe County Medical Center, and when Reno wanted to be bigger than it really is, some years back, it changed over to Renown, and it's a great hospital system. I have many friends that still work there.
they're beautiful people there.
They are, and
But not Dr. Krapko. I'm sorry, since I'm on the air. Dr. Krapko is a jerk. He took the stitches out too soon because it was the week of Thanksgiving, and I had a giant thing removed from my butt cheek. And on Thanksgiving, the stitches opened up, and my family had to glue my butt back together. And then it got so infected that I had to go to the ER in January and almost lost my job because I had because I almost lost my life because I had an infection in my ass.
Yeah.
And then I caught the flu, and I didn't catch the normal flu because the flu season was really bad. Caught some weird bacterial flu, and almost lost my job from being sick from all that. And Dr. Krapko, you suck.
Well, no, I don't know what the online thing of.
But you can't sue us because this is just,
Nope.
yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing at all.
Can't take what you don't have, and you guys definitely need help.
Yep.
You and Lenora are great people. Our folks, I know, are gonna hear this. They're gonna help. They're gonna do what they can, guys. If you know of different ways where you can help these guys, either with, well, whatever it is that they need, you can get in contact with us here through our website. You guys know how to get in contact with me as well. So we definitely want to do this. And we ask you guys that are hearing this to please share this on all of your social media. Get this word out so that people can hear it, because you never know who may need to hear this story right now. Gabe is going to come back on with us. We hope very, very soon that Lenora is going to could be able to come on with us. There's a lot to talk about on their theater arts background, their musical background, their art background. There's a lot of stuff that we can still talk about. Right now, the priority is we need to get these guys some help. You heard what he said. He's got lights for 3 days, and this is
we're
COVID
like negative
times.
$600,
and we need to do. We need to do what we can do, for sure. Gabe Traverso, a real life, caring, loving soul whose life literally was saved by his wife's love and caring. And now he's doing everything he can to care for her.
Yeah, Huey Lewis was right.
Thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
Definitely appreciate you coming on. You have an open platform here. Anytime. I definitely want you to come back and see us. Guys, you are listening to the Papa Jeff's America program. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us today for the Papa Jeff's America program. Check out more episodes of our podcast at papajeffusa.com. You can subscribe through the link on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the major platforms. papajeffusa.com is your home for Papa Jeff's America. While you're there, you can check out more episodes of the broadcast, check out the OG Corner, get in contact with us, and you can even link to all of our social media. Please share our broadcast on all of your social media, because sharing is caring. And if you would like to help us keep our broadcast content free, please click on the Buy Me a Coffee link. You know how much Papa Jeff loves his coffee. And while we're on the subject of you, we want to hear from you. Your thoughts and comments and suggestions are what make this program go. Send us an email at our website, papajeffusa.com, or you can text us at area code 281-940-6980. Message and data rates may apply. Remember to wear that mask. Stay home if you can. Practice social distancing. Wash your hands frequently. And let's all take care of each other. Remember, disagree doesn't mean dislike. We're all in this together. Thanks again for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing you next time when we continue the conversation, one podcast at a time.